This is the meeting of the Human Relations and Community Services Advisory Board, jointly with the Mayor's Neighborhood Advisory Board. At this time, we will call the meeting to order, and I'll state the purpose. Well, we better make sure we got quorum before we do that. All right, Thomas, let's do attendance. Just say who you are and which board you're on.
Dr. Thomas Boyd, HRCS Advisory Board. And Will Ferris, Human Relations Advisory Board. Alder Check, HRCS Advisory Board.
Ron Embry, HRCS Board.
Versay Williams, the HRCS Board.
Christopher Greens-Pachinski, Neighborhood Advisory Board.
Melissa Horst, HRCS Advisory Board.
Kirsten Walters, Neighborhood Advisory Board.
Matthias Bell, Neighborhood Advisory Board.
Brian Bear, Neighborhood Advisory Board.
Mary Beth Van Horn, Neighborhood Advisory Board, Ward 1.
And Courtney Cole, Neighborhood Advisory Board.
Thank you. The HRCS Board has a form established. And also the Mayor's Neighborhood Association has a form.
Thank you. At this time, I will state the purpose of the meeting. The purpose of this special joint meeting is to provide the community with an opportunity to offer comments on the proposed 5 sites identified for the Nova Lansing Housing Initiative, or the ModPod. This meeting will be conducted to the rules of decorum available with the handouts. Please complete here is a location preference. If you have a preference, please complete this form. And if you think maybe it should be somewhere else, you can sign up on that white sheet at the rear of this room. We're going to state the rules for public comment. Public comment registration must be submitted by 6:15. All individuals who have registered for public comment by the designated time will have an opportunity to speak prior to the meeting being adjourned. Each speaker should introduce themselves prior to commencing. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. At this time, I will receive a motion for approval of the agenda. It's been moved in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those that oppose? Ayes have it, so carried. At this time, we're going to have a presentation of the Oregon Harbor of Hope video.
It's true what they say about good intentions. When it comes to meeting the needs of those experiencing homelessness, it's not a proverb, it's a truth. At Harbor of Hope, with our community-based partnerships, we have the ingenuity, the understanding, and the means that can and will help people live with safety, respect, and dignity when met with hard times. We work with both the public and private sectors, and with a group of highly skilled service partners who have the imagination, the planning, and the unique manufacturing skills to improve the livability of our cities and truly help those in need. With the proper support, we will build communities that will be carefully managed and thoughtfully designed to break the cycle of living on the streets. Our managed communities are designed to be fully plumbed for water and sewer, wired for electricity, have regular trash service, and secure access points, ensuring that everyone is accounted for and cared for. Our modular housing units are engineered to be secure, safe, and remarkably easy to deploy. Featuring beds, storage, heating, electricity for devices, and LED lighting, our unique and highly insulated modular housing units will be freestanding, waterproof, and provide residents the opportunity to have a place that is completely their own. All on-site facility buildings are engineered with similar lightweight, modular, and easy-to-construct systems as the shelters. Community members will have access to kitchens, showers, restrooms, laundry facilities, and clean, well-lighted places to gather and engage. As a member of the community, residents will be provided a personal ID, address, and access to resources designed to provide job placement opportunities and help in finding a home of their own. At Harbor of Hope, we know what the problem is, and we know how to fix it. Please join us. It's time we all make it happen.
Just wanted you to know, as you were viewing this video, this is the vision for our pods here in the city of Lansing, to have a similar setup to that. So just so you know, that's why we shared that video. At this time, we're going to move on to our public comments. Now, as you come, please state your name. We're going to call you out. Just introduce yourself, and you'll be limited to 3 minutes. Please be mindful of that. The first person that I have is Loretta Stanway.
Loretta Stanaway, resident of the city for 40 years. I am adamantly, strongly, absolutely against placing these in any city park. I don't think that's what our city park millage monies are supporting or should support. It's not what we pay millages for. I think you risk park millage renewals if you put a park space into a homeless encampment. You currently evict encampments from parks and golf courses and cemeteries. So I don't know how you can turn around and put an encampment in a park after you've evicted people from parks. We don't allow people to camp in parks. We don't allow them to be in parks overnight. We don't allow them to have fires in parks. We don't allow them to make money off of parks. And whether or not the company that is contracted to operate this will be a profit or non-profit, they still will be making money because wages will be paid unless they're entirely operated with volunteers. The option I consider more viable is McLaren's parking lot. It's empty, it's not being used by any of the buildings that are nearby and have been repurposed. It has electricity to the site. It would be a short hop to get water to it. It's flat, it's blacktopped, it's not encroaching on the neighborhood. It's near enough of the amenities that you have on your list, a close enough distance to them. And rather than building a permanent structure, I think you need to look at seriously considering the use of portable trailers that can come in and be set up with ADA compliant access to showers and laundry and bathrooms and kitchens. And they are serviced by pumps and tanks that come in and empty and fill the tanks and the sewage, and they're heated so they don't freeze in the winter. The companies, there are many of them online. The one I've looked at most recently, I spoke with them today. They will not rent to a homeless purpose because their track record shows that homeless purposed campers, trailers, whatever you want to call them, get trashed. And so they will sell them and buy them back after a year if need be, but they will not rent for a homeless. So I think that speaks quite strongly right there. I think you have to look at the consideration that you don't want the public's use of a park to be overshadowed by an encampment that limits the public's use without having a public vote on the usurpation of that access to that park. And also, you don't want the homeless encampment facilities to be nicer than what the public facilities where the taxpayers and village payers are. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jody Washington.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak. I will say first and foremost, I think you need to put the brakes on this entire project. When I talked to Kim Coleman some time ago, this whole project came from a dream because one of her staff members watched a YouTube video of what was going on in Denver. It was Joe. And even at that time, I said, not a good idea, but if you are going to do it, put it in the perimeter. of the city. We did not vote for a partner which to have homeless encampments. I have been in the encampments for 10 years now. I have worked with people from tent all the way to housing. And I continue my work once they are housed. I follow them. I have some I have worked with for 10 years. There is no plan. This was brought forward with no vision, no plan, and absolutely no leadership. To just ask for everybody's opinion, and you're just gonna dump it in somebody's neighborhood? Kim, you saw the back 40. It was a nightmare. The toilets were a disaster. Everything, and what is the exit plan? What's the exit plan here? Voucher housing? Then what's the exit plan from there? Do we dump them in housing and forget about them? Because that's what we do right now. That's exactly what we do. I have lost more people after they were housed than when they were on the streets. We just lost Walkaway last week. This is a nightmare. We have no services, people, in this city. I don't know where you're gonna get it. This will end up costing us about $2 million a year with utilities, the food, the clothing, the repairs to the pods, the building, the staffing, the services. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And we haven't even discussed transporting them here, setting them up, doing this community building. This is only for 65 people. There's no plan, no vision, no leadership. It needs to stop until you have a real plan, real vision, and real leadership.
Our next speaker is Todd and Beth Rose Kearns. Pardon me? Okay, all right, thank you. Moving on, Joy Gleason.
Good evening. I am amongst the people who are vehemently opposed to this being in any city park. The parks, two of the parks that are highest on your list, Comstock Park was designed to flood in order to be an ice skating rink. And if one of your major reasons to not choose a site is because it's in a floodplain, Comstock Park is a floodplain. So that kind of goes against your own measures. Also, Hunter Park, there are a host of reasons why that should not be on the list, particularly considering the amount of use that the park gets. On your website contact, I put in a question about the transit service. On your matrix, you simply have a yes or no, but transit is not even. At the Hunter Park site, the bus comes 7 or 8 times a day, as opposed to other places where the bus runs every 15 minutes. So it's not equal when you're making that consideration to put something in. I do agree with my neighbor that the parking lot owned by U of M Sparrow is a good location that should be looked into more, even though it didn't score as high as some of the parks on your matrix, but it did score a minimum of 60, which is enough to pass it on to the next consideration. So that should be more considered as well. And of the 5 sites that were brought to our attention a couple of weeks ago, for me, it would be the El Hajj Malik El Shabazz Academy site to best house these people. And there's no magic site. Yes, somebody is going to live next to this site, but we should definitely not reduce the amount of parks, park sites, park acreage available for our community to use. What it does for people's uplifting their spirit and what it does for a community when assessments are made of how livable a place is, the number of parks and what they have in them is considered, and to put it in any park would be a detriment to our city, would be taking a step backwards for all of us in light of a step forward for 50 people. So I'm not against the project, but I need you to carefully consider locations, location.
I believe it's Juanita Webb. I don't want to mess with your name. It is Webb, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Hello, I go by Big Tiny Web sometimes. I've been, not ashamed or not proud, but I've been homeless on and off for about 13 years. And the location is definitely needs to be considered because parks should be for families and kids. And I don't like some of the stuff that goes around there myself. Not everybody's bad, but it shouldn't be like at a park or near one. What this lady said about near the hospital, that seems like a good location. There's an abandoned Baptist church near the Crystal Ray organization, which is a very good organization. I'm very grateful for that organization. And there's, I don't know if they'll fit 50 pods or anything, but to take it up in consideration. And I understand some of us homeless, man, we're very trying, you know. I can't speak for everybody, I can speak for myself. I'm a very clean, hygienic person. I pick up litter, I don't even litter. I'm a clean person. I try to be polite and cordial to the people around me because I don't want to give anybody here in Lansing or any city I've been in an excuse to not like us. We're not all bad there, but some of us get treated like garbage and not a human being. We get bullied by some of the police. I got arrested for absolutely nothing, for just trying to keep more rain off of me. I called the chief of police about that, and I got a call back. Thank you, and it won't show the body cam footage, and I wonder why. Moving on, that's a different topic. But I believe the project will stand if somebody is a leader there. I don't particularly want to step up to the plate and be a leader, but a lot of the homeless people know me here at Lansing, they know me around downtown Los Angeles, they've seen me in New York. I don't know if this was just God's plan, you know, it says in the Bible, trust in the Lord and He shall direct your path, and I try my best to keep my faith on that. It's not the easiest, but I'm still here, and I think they would respect me if I told them, I was like, hey, pick up your trash, I'm not your mommy, you're not a toddler, trash goes in trash can, you know, urine goes in toilet, flush the toilet, God, oh, jeez. And that's that. I just want to say we're not all bad. We're not all bad out there. We're not all violent. We're not all looking for trouble. We don't all do drugs. The majority of us do because we've been through some really nasty stuff. Some people have lost children, their family, jobs, just a whole slew of stuff. So I'm asking the police just to take into consideration we're not all the same out there. Some of us homeless people, we have great minds and hearts on things. And Jesus was homeless too. So thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I don't want to mess up your name. I believe it's Jay Swartz of the Morris Park Neighborhood Organization. Jay or Joy?
Joy.
Oh, Joy, okay.
Chance.
Chance, okay.
Guess I should work on my handwriting a little bit. Hi, I'm Joy Chance. I'm the president of the Morris Park Neighborhood Organization and a proud Lansing resident. I think of myself as a pretty engaged community member. I've lived in my neighborhood for 8 years. I'm the president of our neighborhood organization. I have done the Lansing Citizens Academy. I have a sub-online group for families of young children in our neighborhood, and I was reading, the scoring charts for the different locations, and it said, the community is supportive, the community has been engaged, we've talked to the community, and I just kind of want to call that out because I was not spoken to, I was not reached out to, so if I didn't hear anything, I have to think that a lot of other people's voices are missing as well, not just today, but in this entire process. So I'm not here to represent, an official position from the Morris Park neighborhood, even though the Shabazz Academy site is obviously part of our neighborhood, because the neighborhood has a lot of different opinions on this project and what that would mean. I guess I'm here to represent that our neighbors would like to be informed, we would like to be involved, we would like to be engaged. I think that for this project to succeed at any of these sites, the community needs to be a part of not just the decision, but the long-term, success of the project. So, I think our community would like to know, how will these sites be maintained long-term? How will the community be able to assist or be involved in all elements of the process? If I wasn't part of this process so far, who else is missing from the table and how do we get them there? I just want to make sure that they're really doing real, transparent, effective community engagement so that these projects, these pods can really serve the people that they're supposed to serve. So that is what I'm asking for. Thank you.
Eileen Rohrback.
Hi, I'm Eileen Rohrback. I live in the old Everett neighborhood. I just want to reiterate the notion that we've picked 4 out of the 5 sites as city parks to place these pods in. And I think that's just a really misguided approach. For all the reasons other people have said, the loss of use of the parks for that neighborhood, for the children of that neighborhood, it's not what that is designed to be. So I'm adamantly opposed to you putting these housing units in city parks. I did a little bit of rough research on this. I did a little Google search, and from what I can tell, no other city has chosen to place these transitional housing units in city parks. And that's for good reasons. It's not what they're designed for. I want to speak specifically to the Debbie Stabenow Park. In the current park master plan for the city, the skating rink was scheduled to be reinstated. And that is in the current city master plan for parks and recreation. So I'm not sure how that got missed, but that is a use for that park that it was reinstated a couple of years ago. People were so excited and so happy to see something that I've talked to many of my neighbors who lived in that neighborhood for 30, 40 years, and they really remember that being a highlight of that park. Now, this park has been allowed to deteriorate. The city has seemingly intentionally or unintentionally allowed wooded area to develop in the back of the park. There's wooded area in the front part of it. There's a medical business that is directly adjacent to that park, the dialysis unit, office for dialysis patients. And moreover, that neighborhood is already overstretched with social service facilities. We have 2 facilities for homeless people already in that neighborhood. On Cedar Street, the City Rescue Mission for women and children, and now in the McLaren site, the Child and Family Services has emergency services for teenagers who are unhoused. It looks as though it's a done deal. We're getting into the McLaren Hospital a 24/7 emergency mental health facility.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, thank you.
We're overburdened already. We need to stop.
Denise Lynch.
Hello, my name is Denise Lynch. I'm a retiree from the City Parks and Recreation Department. And so I come from that perspective as a Parks and Recreation professional. I echo many of the other comments that people have made about the use of parks. And I'm adamantly against people living in the parks. Somebody else said we already are not wanting people to live in the parks, but now we're looking at having people live in the parks. I just think it's not the proper use for that, for residential day-to-day living. Also, the comment about the millage. The city residents have supported the parks millages very strongly for many, many years, and I don't think the money is intended for living situations in the parks. And someone else mentioned about the master plan. I don't know how this fits into the master plan. I wasn't aware about the ice skating possibly coming back. As a matter of fact, I used to run programs at that ice rink, so I'm very, very familiar with that. It was quite popular. So I have that perspective as having programmed in these parks for children and adults. Let's see. I agree with a lot of the other comments. Of the ones that are listed, Shabazz is the only one that I am would be supportive of, although I don't know all the criteria, but just on the surface it looks like a decent spot. Let's see. One other question thing I was wondering about was in terms of residency, how, I guess I don't know how that will be looked at in terms of people being transient from other cities and such, and I don't know how one would focus on local unhoused people, and I think that would be real important. I don't know how you figure that out. I'm not that in depth into the whole situation, but I just wanted to make that comment. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. At this time, I just want to make an announcement that the capacity of this room from the fire marshal, I think is 163, we're at that. So if you're outside, it's not that we just don't want to be in violation of the fire marshal. So maybe there's some standing room, but I'm just saying that there's room, maybe just be mindful of that.
Point of order. Shouldn't we pick a bigger venue if we have this many people that want to talk about this?
We're going to go on. Our next speaker will be Jeff Olane.
The data center meeting is happening right now also.
Really?
Yeah, they did a great
Sure.
job.
I live on Fletcher Street.
You're Jeff? I called you. Okay, so it's Jeff.
FINLEY.
Yeah, Jeff. Yeah. Is that Jeff Olane?
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
I live on Fletcher Street. I own a house. You're talking about the school. That school was built in 1920. You're gonna have to go in there, rehab it. There's asbestos, mold, etc. To have those people have a place to shower and go to the bathroom. That's gonna cost thousands and thousands of dollars. Who's gonna pay for it? Us? You know, don't put them there, please. It's a good neighborhood. Houses go up for sale, they go real quick. It's a desirable neighborhood. You don't want it. Thank you.
Jacqueline Rogan. Rogan, okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jacqueline Rogan, and I am also a homeowner on Fletcher Street. Shabazz is right across the street from my home. I wanted to go into what Joy was saying about, this was the first time that I've heard about this pod thing being going on. Shabazz is not the location. It's not. We're paying property taxes, we're paying all of this money to now have homeless people, no offense to anyone, but there are pods across the street from our house. When the school was open, there was nothing but commotion and trash and just fights and all kinds of stuff that was going on there when the school was open. So now you're gonna bring over all these homeless people that don't have the resources. The crime's gonna go up in the neighborhood. Like, Yeah, if you guys decide to bring it over to Fletcher Street, I guarantee you that most of the neighborhood's gonna move, because it's just not an adequate place. I don't agree with the parks either though, so we need to figure out another mutual spot to house the homeless people, because that's not it. Just like my other neighbor said, that building is old. It's older than me and probably half the people in this room. It's gonna cost a lot of money to rehab it to where it's gonna be suitable for other people to go in there and utilize it. The building's been up for sale for years and no one's got on it because of how old it is. I don't even know if the furnace works in there. But again, please reconsider where you guys decide to put all these different pods for the homeless people. Please, thank you.
Nancy Mahala? Melo? It says print on here, y'all. Y'all writing, it says print. If it was print, I could understand it.
That's okay, you're excused. I'm Nancy Malo, Eastside Neighborhood Organization, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself. I hope that you will do your history on some of these parks, because I'm going to give you a little history on Hunter Park. It was a gravel pit, and it was owned by William H. Hunter in 1872. His family operated the gravel pit, and the neighborhood kids used to play around it. Once the mining stopped, it became a popular dumping site. After the gravel pit was no longer in use, the city converted it into a landfill. The underground cap ensures its stability for future park use. You cannot build housing on this property. At least that's what I was told. Maybe you should review the history of all of our parks before making a decision. We pay a park millage for improvements, which doesn't include shoving our vulnerable individuals behind a fence and on property that was once used as a city dump. Our unhoused deserve respect and dignity. Where is the long-term funding? Who will be paying for this? Has anyone taken time to involve the individuals affected by these decisions and get their input? Who or what decided on these 5 sites? What was the deciding factor for eliminating the other locations without any input from residents? These 5 sites were presented on November 20th, and a decision is going to be made on December 18th, right before Christmas. Merry Christmas to these families. You have no answers to any of these questions, and none of the questions that are being presented from the individuals here tonight. Once again, you are making a knee-jerk decision, wasting money with no discussion, and the citizens of Lansing will end up paying for inappropriate living conditions. Stop the process and think thoroughly. Thank you.
Thomas Beans or Beers?
Beavers.
Beavers, okay.
I can't write very clear either. So I work for the city in the Parks Department, and I will say that since 2020, I worked for the city for 27 years in the Parks Department. I pick up the trash, I plow the snow in the parks, all that stuff. I have seen an explosion in homeless people in the last 5 years. And it's sad, because they live under the bridges, they live on the river trail, they live at the old Red Cedar Golf Course, they live all over. We chase them around town, the police kick them out, we come in and clean up after them, and they just go somewhere else. So I applaud you for coming up with an idea. I think it's a great idea, and I hope it works, but it's gonna take a lot of money. A lot of money. And I hope you can get your costs together and present it to people so that we can get behind this. I think it's a fantastic move. It's bold, and that's what this needs. The city needs something like this to make a change. But we've got to do it together, and I think you're going at it way too fast right now. You bought the pods without a place to put them. Okay, that's fine, you got them at a discount. I understand that. But I worked for the city long enough to know there are a lot of times we do stuff without worrying about the consequences later. Okay, so please, think of your upfront costs. Be transparent with those upfront costs. What are the long-term costs gonna be? Who's gonna pay for it? All of us? The county, the state? We're all, the median income in this town is $52,000 a household. We're all working hard. We don't have a lot of extra money to raise our property taxes or come to us with a park millage that's going up. Because we've supported it for years and years and years. But there's a limit, okay? Again, I hope it succeeds. I will say that I worked at Washington Park when it was an ice rink. That building was built, half of that building was built in the 70s. The other half was built in the 90s. You are gonna have to tear that whole thing down. It's not built to add showers and all the stuff you wanna do, okay? And that fence is gonna have to go, okay? So that site's gonna cost a lot of money. But more importantly, no park should be where these pods go. Absolutely not.
Jamie
Warranty?
Hi, my name is Jamie. I purchased a house right by Shabazz a couple of years ago, and I really enjoy the neighborhood. I really enjoy being in the city. I am in vehement opposition to using Shabazz as the site for this location. This is a building that has been up for sale for a long period of time. No investor wants to buy it. It is old, it is outdated, it is in a state of disrepair. I don't think this is gonna make any sense, and it is going to cost a lot of money. I also went door to door to talk with my neighbors to try and get some information about what's going on. Try to discuss with them, see what my neighbors' thoughts are. The majority of people had absolutely no idea. So I don't know what community engagement we've been doing, but it does not seem to have reached the community. I have received no responses to emails or through the public comment form on the Nova Lansing website. That does not give me faith in the transparency of this project. We are all obviously very opposed to using a public park for this, for so many of the wonderful reasons that were already discussed. That leads me to believe that the last remaining location listed as a potential site is Shabazz, and that it seems that is the intended location. And there are other locations as public parks that would lead people to come to the natural conclusion that Shabazz is the correct location. There were apparently other private properties explored for this, but none were shared with the public. The purchase price for Shabazz is currently listed at $650,000. And in the comments on the site evaluation, it mentions that the main school building, which is not ADA compliant, will not be used for the purpose of the ModPod program. So that makes me wonder, what are you planning to use that building for? I would love to know the answer to that. It mentions future expansion that would happen in this building with no clear idea of what that might entail. Based on the Lansing Path Forward study that was published April of this year, There is a severe lack of funding and lack of support to the existing community resources and a lack of staff capacity. So my question is, before you spend $650,000 on a building that is in a state of disrepair, could those funds have gone to supporting the existing services that we already have? Just.
Thank you. Joanne Newith. We got that. Neef, Joanne.
Okay.
Good evening. I too am in the Parks Are Not Your Place crowd, but I'm gonna spend my 3 minutes talking about Hunter Park in particular. You have sort of put us in a box here. There's nothing much we can say other than no, not in our park. If the only option you're gonna consider is to dismantle a 20-year partnership that both of us, the city and the neighborhood, together have worked on to make an inviting, welcoming, shareable, well-used space. Together, we have taken down fences, we have broken up concrete, we've leveled grassy fields so that we can play sports and have concerts. We've organized walking clubs, we've planted edible gardens so that the walkers can take home fresh kale and strawberries. We've brightened and invigorated the pool for family use. We've fundraised to put in art installations and offered urban gardening and indigenous culture education in that hoop house. And into all that deliberately open and welcoming space, you propose to cut our mature tree canopy, pave parking lots, lay concrete foundations, fence in 65 people in 50 pods and forbid them visitors, and let them live there in what has got to feel from the inside like a prison and look from the outside like a zoo. And then you're gonna surround them with social workers and caseworkers and security people. There is just no way our community-spirited welcome can survive that incursion. So you leave us no choice but to say, not in our backyard, not in our park, don't do it. On the other hand, I want to say that we actually are proven yes people. And we genuinely care that homeless people in our city receive services they need and become integrated into city life. You didn't consult us before you bought these pods, but we have some unsolicited advice at this point. Just stop. Just stop the whole thing. Don't worry about where to put it. Consider following the city of Kalamazoo's wise lead and admitting that even if it looks like a good idea initially, it hasn't worked out, because there are real reasons why sites can't be found for an intrusive scale like this project requires in order to succeed. If you would be brave enough to say, we made a mistake, let's start over, we would really like to work with you on alternative plans about how a smaller collection, maybe 10 or 12 people, could be integrated into our neighborhood and the wraparound services you envision provided. It would be hard work, but it's worth doing. It's worth doing. We would undertake that work.
Thank you. Carl Tilcom.
Carl Tilgang. I'm also from the Morgan Park neighborhood. As many people know, I've always been in approval of this plan. I have to say though that I've heard a lot of things online, and I've always perused things online just so I can be able to bring them to this group and be able to let you all know. Several people still are under the misconception that this is going to be a monitored encampment. I'm like, I don't know why. They also thought there was going to be a community clubhouse to go along with this, and I'm like, come on, people, please, you know. Yes, I don't think that the park may be the wisest choice. I don't know about the U of M Sparrow parking lot either, because I would suggest maybe the old McLaren hospital could be used, but I'm just now learning that someone else has actually bought it and not gonna let that happen. Why do I think that Shabazz should be the best one? And forgive me, my neighbors, but I do believe that that would be the best if we use that building. I've actually been inside. I do know where the spots are where there is asbestos, and it's where there is lead paint and extra contaminants. My service in the military, I've had to go into those kind of spaces and know about them. So I know that that building could be renovated very easily. Someone asked, well, we don't even know if there's a furnace in there. Well, there won't have to be a furnace if we can get a brand new one in there that'll work, you know? There are ways around it. Yes, the public is correct in one thing, and that these two boards have to come together with the idea you need to work with us, is what they're saying. I've talked to over 400 of our homeless. Someone mentioned, well, why aren't we talking to them? Well, a lot of those won't come to this meeting. That's why. The reason why is they don't think they have any faith in you folks. That's why. I've also talked to them about why that they don't believe that this can be done well. I know that there are several cities watching us. One specifically, a military buddy of mine down in Mississippi said that they're going to, I'm sorry, Missouri, said that they're going to be watching this program closely. And so I know that a lot of eyes are on here. Why it didn't work in Kalamazoo does not matter why it's going to work in Lansing. The reason why it's going to work in Lansing is because homeless, the home, and all of us residents have got to get together and say, yes, we're going to make this happen one way or the other. We cannot let this fall. In my opinion, it would be a lot cheaper to do it that way instead of a lot more expensive. I ask you to think about that, folks. It's going to be a lot cheaper instead of being expensive if we help the homeless this way. I've been homeless. I know what it's like. Spat on, looked down upon, but I rose over that and I became a homed individual. Thank you.
Claire Haley West.
Hi, Clairfield West, board member, Churchill Downs Community Association. On behalf of the Churchill Downs Community Association Board, I submit to request. This project must not be placed in any city park. Should the project, I don't know where it goes beyond that, but not park. Or the project should be discontinued in its entirety. In doing so, the city has an opportunity to set a powerful precedent. You all have an opportunity to set a precedent to the entire nation, demonstrating to communities across our nation what it looks like when local government truly listens to its citizens. Thank you.
Jeff Finley. Oh boy. I think it's Heath McBurger.
Sorry, not one for public speaking, but I live by Reasoner Park, and our park is small, and it's where our families go. But the project would not damage our park; it would remove it. There's not enough space that this project could use the park and still allow us use of it. So it would not be damaging; it would be removal. I don't think any park should be used. It's our city space, but I don't think anybody here disagrees with needing a solution for the homeless people. It's just that the proposals made have not been appropriate. And I did also canvass our neighborhood, and I spoke with approximately 30 people. And no one, with the exception of one nice couple, was aware that this was even a thing. And the only reason I was aware of it was the Lansing State Journal. So I think it's pretty clear that the public engagement has not been appropriately performed because none of us knew about this and none of us were directly communicated with. So please don't put it in our parks. I can't speak this to the Shabazz, I don't know, but I do know that our parks are sacred to us and what you're proposing would do real damage to our neighborhoods. So please reconsider.
Jarquise West.
Good evening, my name is John Cortez West. I'm president of the Church of the Neighborhood Association, but I'm speaking on behalf of myself right now. We want to say we are not having deposit in parks. One reason that's huge that I don't think you guys are thinking about is 24-hour access that they have to their pods. There are no 24-hour access shelters in Lansing. I think about 6, 7 in the morning, you have to get up. You're either going to school or you're going to work or you're looking for a job. You have to get up and go. They don't allow you to lay down all day long. I think you guys are making a mistake. So I think you guys should put this on a hold and really go back to the drawing board and kind of maybe ask other shelters why do they do things the way that they do, because a 24-hour, it does not make sense. So be able to lay down and not have to get up. And you're saying they only have a short amount of time in the pods, but we all have residents that stand on corners that have been sitting in those same corners for years, religiously. They have not left those corners. I don't know why, years. So I don't see this program going great, and I think we should pump the brakes a little bit and really get more input from the people. Thank you.
Joanne Nelson.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on the city's proposed NOVA project. So after participating in a Prospect Place neighborhood meeting to discuss this and trying to envision 65 people living in a little flat space that we call the Hunter Park playing fields, surrounded by fencing, I'm still in disbelief at the wrong-headedness of this approach to providing shelter for the unhoused. In fact, I truly believe that if Hunter Park is chosen and this project is implemented as proposed, we'll see the reversal of 20 years of park improvement in this 13-acre shell. Park professionals and community development folks speak of park users and uses constantly. Surely you can see that the rich blend of uses, right? Urban gardening, education of greenhouse, cultivation of land in the West Field and in the 1/2 acre edible park, walking clubs, pool activities, 2 busy playgrounds, periodic concerts and plays, and users. Youth of all ages, youngsters and their parents coming to swing or to swim, walkers at all times of day, large numbers of people coming to the gardening workshops held in the garden house, volunteers doing cleanups and plantings, and they are there monthly, families holding reunions and celebrating birthdays in the picnic pavilion, and so many more. All of these uses and users occupying almost every square foot of that park make it incompatible with the planned NOVA project. One of the most heavily utilized parks in the city's park system, Hunter is way too small for what is proposed. The NOVA project would supplant and diminish the robust use of this park by neighbors. Work to create a vibrant Hunter Park brought people all over the east side together. We understood that parks are huge neighborhood assets, critical components of a livable and a lively neighborhood. We understood that, as Jane Jacobs noted, we work to improve our parks because they give back grace and delight. I fail to see how NOVA in any park in the city is going to generate grace and delight. I'm ordinarily more of a YIMBY, a yes in my backyard, than a NIMBY, But this proposal indicates that we have not yet learned the folly of concentrating poverty and dysfunction in a small geographic space. We've learned not to do that. Surely we can come up with better ideas for providing long-term support for the unhoused in our community than this ill-conceived plan. Thank you for your time.
Cheryl Campbell.
Hi, I've been a resident of Lansing for like 40 years. I live near what used to be called Washington Park. My property runs right up to the fence line, and I have a very clear view of the building that's presently there. And I purchased this home with the idea of being able to look at a park and enjoy it, not to see a bunch of pods sitting there. Another thing is, I don't know if people are aware of this, but in the summer months, our park is used by Lansing Parks and Rec. Over 100 children are playing in that park all summer long, practicing football and cheerleading. Another thing is that park's used for dog walking, and lots of people congregate in there during the summer months and relax in their cars, and that's what the park was used for. Another thing is the pavilion was maybe about a year ago moved. There's been money invested in this park for the general public, and I would like to see it to continue instead of ruining that effect of people coming there, relaxing, using the pavilion. They also redone the equipment for the children. And I also heard that they don't want to put these near areas where there's a lot of children. So I'm letting you know there's hundreds of children in that park during the summer months. So I think the whole idea of putting it in a park is going against what parks are for, relaxation, entertainment, whatever you want to call it. So anyway, I agree with everyone that it should not be placed in a park. Thank you.
Mary Peckengy. And they'll be followed by Cheyenne Liberty.
My name's Mary Peckengy, and I'm from the Regional Park neighborhood. And I'm going to just throw my notes out because everyone's made a lot of points that are really good. But I think the things that's kind of disturbing is we didn't even know Regional Park was going to be considered. And even more disturbing is we didn't know it was purchasable with land bank. Our neighborhood was never informed of that decision or asked for any input in that. So don't get any bright ideas about developing that park. That park is one of the oldest parks in Lansing. And if you do the history of the Wiesner family and how it came about, and there used to be fountains and everything in that park. It was beautiful in its state and its heyday. But more than that is, it's a small park. And if you, like one of my neighbors said, if you put 50 units in there, that's more than our number of houses in our neighborhood. And the park is so small, it would just look like a bunch of storage units in there. And who would want to look at that? And who would want to live there? So I don't have any good ideas for you. I was thinking if there was, like some people were saying, like Shabazz represents an idea of property in a building that could be renovated in time. But where that building is and where that property is in Lansing, I don't know. But I hope you remove Wiesner Park from the list. And thanks for listening.
All right, and Erica Lynn will be after Cheyenne.
Hi there. My name is Cheyenne Liberty, and I'm here to speak on behalf of my neighborhood. On November 24th, 34 Prospect Place neighbors gathered to discuss the NOVA Housing Initiative. This project is of special interest for our community because our neighborhood is located directly across Kalamazoo Street from Hunter Park, one of the final 5 sites under consideration. As a neighborhood group, we reached consensus around the following statement. Prospect Place neighborhood supports efforts to care for Lansing's unhoused community, a group that deserves to not only live but thrive in our city. We want to see this project succeed in Lansing, and we are concerned about the impact that this will have on a vibrant park and beloved community resource. We ask, can Hunter Park remain a vibrant community park while respectfully providing transitional housing with dignity at the scale that is being proposed? This project is a welcome step towards long-term sustainable success, towards addressing the issue, but in order to ensure long-term sustainable success of this project, should it be placed in Hunter Park, folks that reside in Prospect Place and our unhoused neighbors must have a seat together at the table. The city must hold space for dialogue and information sharing to ensure the successful integration of these neighbors into our community. Topics where we want to make sure our input is heard are, number 1, would the city consider establishing a smaller number of pods in this location, a small and well-used community park? Number 2, dignity for new residents. Can we share the park with new neighbors while maintaining their sense of having private space and security without feeling controlled? Number 3, we would like to see continued use of the walking path, pool, and open field space in Hunter Park where our neighbors meet, exercise, and play. Number 4, we love our trees in Hunter Park and we don't want to see any of them come down because of this project. Number 5, current programming space for events such as Stoop Fest and other concerts, the garden house, and the edible park must be maintained. And number 6, what will the fencing look like and how will the buildings be painted to ensure that this community is visually integrated with our neighborhood? Thank you for your time.
Hello, Erica Lynn. I actually didn't plan on speaking, and I'm really glad I get to go after her because she brought my heart rate down a bit. I do want to say that I really appreciate a lot of her comments because she is what I would call vocalizing starters to a productive conversation, and we're not having a whole lot of productive conversations about this. I think one of the most, I don't have a whole lot to say about it because I think there are a lot of very valid questions being asked. There are a lot of valid complaints and concerns that are being asked, but unfortunately they're buried and piled underneath a lot of what me sitting in this room feeling ashamed of a lot of my community and a lot of people around me. I couldn't imagine being a member of our unhoused community sitting here, and I applaud the gentleman that came up here and spoke. It took a lot of courage to come up here and give his experience and his lived experience, and in my opinion, his is the one that matters. He is the voice that we should be listening to the most. But I think one of the hardest part is all I kept thinking is somebody ought to be Jesus, because a lot of the comments that are being made about this, we can demand a better process without dehumanizing our neighbors, period. And I think the level of dehumanization I have heard tonight is so unsettling that my watch keeps alerting me that my heart rate is up. Because I can't say it's shocking, it's not. Unfortunately, it is not shocking. Because we all demand solutions, we want solutions. This is not the solution, it is a solution, it is a start. And if we could be creative and brave and bold, it could work. But it's going to take, not just, I know we joke and say NIMBY, right? Not in my backyard. I do not love the fact that it was dwindled down from 42 to 5 without, I didn't have a conversation with them, and a whole lot of people didn't. But you know what I also can say, because I'm a very big both and person, is I can guarantee you would have found a room like this for every single one of those 42 sites. Every single one. So when I asked us, well, we want solutions for our unhoused neighbors, I get not our parks. And she brought up points on we should not do something that is going to destroy land, something that's permanent, that's going to displace activities going on. So those are the comments that we should be making, the questions we should be asking. But when we say not in any parks, parks are for everyone. Who gets to dictate who parks are for? A, but also B, if we keep saying not here, not here, not here, where? You want a solution to our unhoused issue, but you just don't want to see it.
We have to see it. It exists. They are our neighbors, they are our family to our community, and we need to treat them as such. And we're not doing that today. And again, some of y'all need Jesus.
Mike Lynn, followed by Annie Hurstova.
How do I even go after that? We sat here and both our heart rates were going up, climbing. I'm pinching her every time somebody said something like, they'll just lay down all day if we build this and it's open 24 hours a day. It's just disgusting. How dare us lay down? How dare we sleep? How dare we take our time to rest from being homeless? How much stress and trauma that is on a person. Let me just give you my day to day. The other day we had a meeting, had all types of elected officials and community members in there, and we had all this extra pizza. And I took 3 of them and I just rode around downtown because I can do that. I can find somebody that needs. Found the same individual I see every time at City Hall laying under a blanket. And just went up and tapped him. Do you want this? He was so grateful to have it. And I walked away. I didn't take a picture. None of you all would have known that took place or transpired. But I'm listening to this room and need Jesus. I'm going to say this before I start anywhere else. Peace. I come in peace. Me and my brother said it every time we meet with each other, no matter what we're about to say before that or after that, it's peace. Needing Jesus may not be everybody's mode, everybody's movement, everybody's way. But it's true. And I think that's the reason I'm in this room, because I had no intentions on coming here. I definitely had no intentions on speaking, because I can get pretty brutal at times. And I don't know how I felt about all of this. The parks, let's not have that conversation. Who cares? That's going to be driving, as Erica said, people from every parking area. If you said it was going to be in whatever park and it was outside the city, those people will be here talking about they don't want it there. So we just know the room's going to be full of that. Let's talk about our unhoused and humanize them. Because the conversation I've heard in here today just makes me, I'm livid with the conversation from people in this room. Like, it really disgusts me that these are the people that vote in our city. Because it makes sense to me why we don't never get nothing done. A millage came through for $270 million and no prints were shown. Didn't nobody care what's going on in Washington next to Stabbing Park. When the police need a building, we'll throw $300 million at it with nothing else than the word. Even our council questioned it. We ain't seen no prints. We don't have nothing here. And red dotted that across like it wasn't nothing. This all reminds me of redlining in the 30s and 40s. Don't none of y'all want homeless people nowhere near you. And I'm a black man sitting in here. How did this go in 1930, in 1940, when that conversation was about Negroes? That's how I feel. I give up my spare bedroom for any one of the house folks that I come across that they needed. Who cares? We talking about lives. And we can save 50 lives a year. Lives, real people, yo. And we arguing about what yard it goes into. I just bought a house behind Dwight Rich. They got tons of land they don't use. Put it there. Put it there. Oh, I'm at Rio Elementary. I just advise, I'll take it there. Bring it to Rio. We got tons of acreage. Stop having this conversation about where it does and doesn't go. It's 50 people that could be alive tomorrow. That man that I see at City Hall might have died had I not put that warm pizza in his stomach. Y'all quit playing. Do you need Jesus? Do I need to preach to this?
Annie Horstovo. All right, William, you should have printed. Glody. And behind him will be Mike Dombrowski.
Hey, William Lawrence, other than the fourth ward. I appreciate what Mike just had to say, because, I mean, my heart is pretty sick to hear this conversation, honestly.
Hold on. You're who?
William Lawrence.
That's not you.
Oh, sorry.
That's you. Hold on. William, if you're here, no, we're going to follow order. These are in order. Is William, this William here?
I'm a William.
Are you the one? Huh? What's your last name? What's your last name, sir? That must be, that's you, isn't it? Go ahead and sit here. You'll be after him. What's your last name? Did you fill this? You fill out one of these?
I'm sorry for all the confusion.
Yeah.
I'm over at Shabazz. I'm a neighbor there. And quite frankly, like Joy said, we didn't have any information. The neighbors that I've talked with, they're strongly opposed to putting the pods in the Shabazz area. Thank you for letting me comment.
Thank you, sir. All right, go ahead. We'll find it here. Mike.
William Lawrence.
William Lawrence, we're looking for you.
As I was saying, it makes my heart sick just to hear this conversation, because it feels like we're getting set up here to fight against each other. And I do think there's some bad faith, people who would under no circumstances want to find the creativity to find a way to care for our homeless neighbors. And they're saying, well, it's just about the park, it's just about the process, when really we know that it wouldn't be there for any project in their neighborhood. And that makes me a little sick. At the same time, I do know that there are people in this room that are really creative and really thoughtful and community-minded who are still standing here saying they feel like they haven't been brought in the way that they needed to in order to be enthusiastic about something happening in the neighborhood. And I want to believe that it is possible to be sitting in this room and end up in a situation where people feel enthusiastic about a pod community or a rapid rehousing community happening in their neighborhood. And I know that we have people who want that in Lansing and are capable of that, but the process clearly hasn't led us to that point now. And so I want to ask, what would it take if not us standing in front of a board and you all having to sort of look back at us and then, eat shit respectfully, and try, what would it take for us to actually work together with the resources and assets that exist together in a community? Sometimes I feel like the way that we have these conversations doesn't allow for that. And the fact that people usually don't turn out until it's the last minute and it's time to say no to something. We got to get better at being proactive, having real invitations into a process. And I know you've been working on that. At the same time, it's clear that we got to be able to do better. The other thing I want to say is about money, because it's going to cost a lot of money. And there's no way around this whole situation that it's going to cost a lot of money. Because the rent is too damn high, and that's why people are homeless in the first place. And that's a situation that's happening around the country. And we know that we need more rapid rehousing, we need more sheltering, we need more permanent supportive housing, and we need more housing at every price point. From working class to even upper middle class people are struggling to buy a home. And you know what it's going to cost? It's going to cost maybe in the realm of $3 to $5 billion, just in the Lansing area over the next 20 years. If you look at Vishta's estimates of how much housing we actually need compared to where we are and where our housing stock is going, which is the wrong direction. So this is a working class city. How are we going to find $3 to $5 billion? Where's the money at? Well, we need an honest conversation about that, because it's not going to come out of our property taxes. So we got to ask, what are the wealthy corporations that are in our city, but also around the state, also around the country? We've got some billionaires in New York and San Francisco, and that's where all the money's going, which is why it's not just Lansing, but it's cities around the country who are dealing with this issue. So I think we can continue to move forward and spin our wheels, have the appearance of doing something, and the reality is we'll be right back here in 4 years with another project, because we're going to continue circling the drain of this housing and homelessness crisis. I think we got to find a way to care for people and save lives now. Doing less is a part of that. Do less to sweep those people out of Dietrich Park. Leave them the heck be. And then there's a lot of different places these pods can go, but we got to look at the holistic situation here and ask, how do we get the money and the resources to really deal with this? Because we know this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Thank you. Mike Dombrowski, followed by Steve Hills.
Hello, Mike Dombrowski. I am the chair of the Parks Board. Speaking on behalf of myself, because the Parks Board has literally never had a conversation around this topic or project. Not that, definitely in support of the efforts to address the homelessness issues, but this seems like it's just coming out of left field. There was the mention about the master plan. We are in the process of doing that. Never had a discussion around a project like this in any of the parks. I feel like the parks are really bubbling up in this list because it's an easy solution. It's not the right solution. It's not creative. It's just easy. I've made scoring metrics myself. I could literally make any of those properties bubble to the top. It seems like it was already made. The decision has been made. Lansing seems to have a history of taking successful projects elsewhere, bringing them here, and then like doing something to them, and like kind of half-assing it, and then doing it, and then saying, well, we did it, so we don't need to do it anymore. And I fear that that's what's going to happen if this project sort of goes the way that it's been presented, where it's like, we did this project, we tried, now we don't have to talk about this anymore, so let's just do something else. It's really great to see all these people come out in support of, or at least they use the parks and want to see things in the parks. We've had no more than like 15 people show up for park board meeting. They're upset about disc golfers, so I'm glad to know that you are in the parks. Yeah, Don shows up almost every meeting. I noticed that in the video you started the meeting off with, that was not in a park. That was like embedded in the city as part of the structure of the city. That was good to see. I noticed that Francis Park wasn't on the list. Francis Park is big. It is not in the floodplain. It is flat. It has a building. It has parking lots. It's pretty close to Waverly. I don't know where the closest bus line is, but not too far. That was interesting. So yeah, our next park board meeting is at 6:30 p.m. next Wednesday, just down the hall here. So.
Steve Hills will be followed by Andrea Richard.
Hello, folks. Thanks for coming out, keeping us seen alive. Always appreciate it. I'm just here for, well, it'll take me 30 seconds. Leave the parks alone. There's a ton of open buildings elsewhere, whether it's El Shabazz or wherever. Hell, you guys can give a tax break again to the Gillespie group. Have them build a half-assed building. Thank you for your time, and thank you all for coming out to keep us seen alive.
Following Andrea will be Ivan Drosty.
Hi, Andrea Richard, here with my husband. We live on White Street. Prisoner Park is our neighborhood. So I guess I'm speaking on behalf of our dog as well, that we actively use the park on a regular basis. And we love our neighborhood. We've lived in Old Town for 10 years. We are active in our community, and that's very important to us. And we care about all of our unhoused population in Lansing as well. I just think your plan is incredibly narrow-sighted from an infrastructure standpoint. Have we not thought about who's paying for all of it on the end, or who's paying for all the resources that you're saying are being provided in this community of people? You're looking for a Band-Aid fix that will only end in failure and put people in a worse position. We're not really solving a thing. We're creating more problems for ourselves, and we can do better than that.
Ivan Drosty, Wheaton Ridge Neighborhood Association, representing myself. I've been really distressed to witness what seems to be a citywide game of hot potato with these ModPods. It seems like the only time anybody wants to talk about the ModPods or about the unhoused population in the city in general is to show up to say, well, you better not put it in my neighborhood. And I wonder, why is it that this body is centering the experience and the opinion of housed people instead of the unhoused people who might end up living in this community that we're about to build? That's who I want to hear from. I'd like to know where they would like these ModPods to be located. Why, as a housed person, should my opinion be centered? It makes no sense. And I really want to thank the handful of unhoused neighbors here who did come out to voice their opinion. And it's very courageous and brave of you to do that. And I want to personally thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I think that all of these proposed locations, all 5 of them, are suitable. I really do. My priority is that we should just get this done, okay? And I think that this whole squabble about where to put this thing, to be frank, is shameful, okay? The social contract obliges us all to make sacrifices for one another, okay? This is part of what it means to be in a society, is to make sacrifices so that we can all help each other, okay? That's what it means to be a community. That's what it means to be neighbors. This sacrifice is not that large, folks. We're not asking you to welcome people into your attic or into your backyard, okay? We're asking you to allow people to come into your neighborhood, people who are out on the street, they have no place to go, they're freezing in the winter, okay? If this is what needs to happen in order to save these lives, just 60 people's lives, much less the hundreds of people who need it, then I think we should do it, okay? Now, I don't live in the immediate vicinity of any of these properties, but I do live in Southwest Lansing, just a mile or 2 away from both the Shabazz Academy and Stabenow Park. So I say I would be happy to welcome 60 new neighbors into Southwest Lansing if either of those locations are chosen. I will welcome them, I will support them, I will love them. Thank you.
Kathy Welch, followed by Yasmina. I know you know your last name. All right, Kathy Welch. Yasmina's not here. All right, we'll move on. Okay, all right.
So my name's Yasmina Barawi. I'm a resident of the East Side and Prospect Park neighborhood. Several of my neighbors have already spoken. I wasn't at our community meeting, but I thought it was a very thoughtful response that they came up with. I just am concerned for all of our public parks, just because I know the time and energy and commitment that our neighborhoods have put into developing the parks to what they are today. And I can speak particularly to Hunter Park, because that's one in my backyard. It's been an incremental transformation over 20 years, and it's widely used by the neighbors, so we have concerns that it would be impacted. I do support finding a solution for our unhoused, and I think the East Side has been part of that solution and has lots of support already that we're providing for that population. And I think we would be willing to be part of the solution, as should the whole city. I'd prefer if we look at existing buildings before placing pods anywhere. But if we do proceed with the pod project, I think they should be spread out in smaller numbers to facilitate community integration and really become part of the community. So thank you very much.
Michael Dabrowski, followed by Mike Wilson. And for your recommendations, as she gave, put them on that white piece of paper. Just write them on that white piece of paper. Right where the young lady has her hand up, if you have any other suggestions for this process. All right, Michael, we're moving on. What about Mike Wilson? All right. It looks like Mike, don't it?
It's Mike.
It's Mike. Pardon me? Could looks like Mike to me. It could be.
Oh, that's Mr. Wilson.
Oh.
Yeah, Mr.
Oh,
Wilson.
Mr. Wilson, I guess.
Yeah, Mr. Wilson, where you at?
He coming.
Locations.
Yeah, for the locations, put it on that white piece of paper.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, I'm here speaking on the ModPods. ModPods should not be put in the Stabenow Park, because that's exactly what it is, a park for the people to use and to have enjoyment and recreation. Another millage passed to fund the parks And again, it was paid by the taxpayers. If the mod pods was a consideration, they should have been put on the ballot to be voted on by the people. Why is it always South Lansing seems to be the placement for such things, like the juvenile detention center, another liquor store? It makes the area unappealing and unattractive. What we need to do is try to build up the local center and try to encourage more nice stores and restaurants. And appreciate the fruit shops that we have there. Just make sure you try to stay on top of those parking lots and cleaning up the maintenance. I have the deepest compassion for our displaced brethren and have donated to charities and to youth for over 20 years. However, why must South Lansing have to battle such complex issues? Alternative housing arrangements that involve much stricter oversight is what's needed. Here's an idea for the now defunct Sycamore Apartments. That's those apartments on the southwest side, just empty. Encourage co-op ownership. It's sad me to see how badly that place went down. Thank you.
Frederick McLaughlin.
Thank you. My name is Fred McLaughlin. I'm a local architect, and I mention that because I have no idea where would be the best place to put this kind of facility. And I say that because in my work as an architect, any architect does this, when you do a project, first thing you do is you go to the people that you're going to do the project for. So I've only heard from one or two people who are actually what we might call the clients, which are the people who are homeless. That's where you're going to find out what would they actually want. You know, what do they want this, in my terms, designed to do for them? You know, you may find out that they'd be satisfied with a lot less, or you may find they want a lot more. I don't know, but I'm saying none of us knows. And I'm hearing a lot of reactions about assumptions about, let's try putting it here, putting it there, and so on. But I'm not really hearing from the people that this work is actually going to be done for. And that's where any of this process, at least in my work in designing buildings, that's where you start. You start with the people that you're doing this for. And out of that, you get what, in our terms, we call a program. But there are also other considerations. So how many people are ready to manage being in a pod, and is there counseling that's needed prior to that, so they know how to work their way out of homelessness if they need that. I mean, these are important issues, and they may be more important than suddenly having these pods available to them. I almost feel like I'm reflecting back on the Charter Commission, which I thought was a backward process. It seemed to be looking at a lot of assumptions and not getting down to the primary issues. And one of the challenges that we've got with this kind of a project is that what we're trying to do is we're trying to find the most fundamental kind of shelter for people. And the city has a tendency to look at this as investments. And those are very different terms, and they have to somehow meet. But and this also bears on some thoughts that I've had about the Planning Commission. I don't know why it's called the Economic Development and Planning Commission. The most important development that goes on in the city is community. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to create a community. And it's on one extreme edge of the community. Thank you.
Douglas McKee, I believe, followed by Kirby Reels. Move right on. Is Kirby here? move on. And your name, sir?
Kirby Riles.
Kirby Rouse.
Nice to see you folks again. I think everybody knows that Kim Cottrell is a very compassionate person. I see that in her life. I imagine many of you here have the same compassion. I think this is a case where we were zealous for something good, and it's not, the form that has been proposed to resolve it is not really going to fix it, I don't think. It's a kind of misplaced compassion, in my opinion, no offense. This is not the best option for the homeless, in my opinion. If any place that has a bathroom in it, it's got a little more space than an 8x8 box is going to be better. McLaren Hospital, which was offered free to the city, and still may be available. I'm talking about the central building, not the apartment for mental health. Every one of those rooms has a bathroom in it. There's more room in every single one of those patient rooms than the 8x8 box. So I think we need to look at this, and as we have said, we need to put the brakes on it, slow down a little bit. There seems like to be a rush to make a decision. I don't know about you, but when I make a decision in a hurry, it's usually not a very good decision. The idea that we're going to make a final decision by December 18th is just not really appropriate. This is not the best option for the homeless. They could be in a better place. We can do better by them. Second, it's not the best option for the taxpayers. We spent $630,000 on these pods. We're going to spend maybe another $500,000 to prepare the community facility. That's $1 million. And then we were told that the estimate, it's an estimate, to keep running these things every year is $750,000, $750,000. A simple math work on that, we'll find that comes up to $947 per person for those 66 people. I did a quick search on Zillow. You can rent all 50 of those people, all 66 people, you can rent them apartments in Lansing for less than $947. If they share with a roommate, it comes out. I did call up to Oregon to speak to the people that run the pods there, and it is not a city-run affair. It's a nonprofit. It's supported by people in their giving. And they have only 10 pods in each of their 3 pods. So we're talking about 50, it's 5 times bigger. I think we need to look at that. I talked with the City Rescue Mission where I'm a volunteer, I don't work for them, and they're about to double their capacity. They have 160 for the singles right now, about to go up to 300. That's almost 3 times more than what we're going to serve these 66 people. So I think there's a lot that needs to be done on this. The main thing right now is to slow down, listen to the people, and we'll come up with a decision that will help the homeless, but will not be a bad decision. Thank you.
Carver, followed by Tim Modee. Carver, Tim Modee. What? Okay.
I'm just going to reiterate a lot of stuff Courtney just said. On average, here in the U.S., it costs about $1 million per person to keep a homeless person unhoused over the course of their life. If people are worried about their fucking taxes, it's literally cheaper to put them in a house. The average rent for an apartment in Lansing, I just looked up, is $990. That's less than $12,000 a year. Currently, the average cost of these ModPods is going to be about $13,000. The one thing I disagreed with is he said we should rush, but like, we can solve this issue immediately by just putting people in an apartment, and it will cost people less money. Like, I don't care if you think people didn't earn it. If the brakes go out in your vehicle, are you going to pay to replace them? Or are you going to decide, they don't work anymore, let's not do anything, and then have your vehicle crash and you have to pay even more? What makes sense then? Just fix the issue. It's the cheapest option. I'm also clearly adrenalized because I'm sitting here after about 100 people just went up and said I'm not a real human, basically. Didn't dehumanize this crap, and yes, we do need to rush. I nearly froze to death 2 fucking nights ago. And I'm a little too worked up to continue. But basic math. Forget the ModPods, you don't have to worry about the parks. Just put people in an apartment.
Okay.
Might be your neighbor. Watch out.
Tim Modee. Okay. followed by Dean Dundeen.
Yes, well, thank you for allowing me to speak. I would like to recommend, like, instead of reinventing the wheel, like the brother over here was talking about, ask the rescue mission or Advent House or Globes and Fishes. There's dozens and dozens of places that put homeless people up.
And they kick them out for a year for no reason.
And I retired as a medic from Lansing Fire, so I dealt with homeless people. I remember one time, the same guy 6 times in one day took him to the hospital in the ambulance. But if you treat him with respect, it's eventually going to come back to you. I had a homeless man living in my house until June when he passed away. He was 24 years old. But you know, you could, no matter what you do, there are people still going to prefer living in a refrigerator box on the other side of the road, and that's just a fact of life. I think we need to get CMH involved, you know, so we're not constantly, because there's a lot of mental health issues. The guy that was living in our house had a traumatic brain injury. He was schizophrenic. And he lived in my garage a lot because I said no drugs in the house, no smoking in the house, no drinking in the house, but he would prefer to do his thing. When I was a medic with Lansing, a lot of people would sleep underneath the Kalamazoo Street Bridge, and I'd say, well, I actually found one guy who owned a home on Mount Hope, but he preferred living with his friends. So he wanted to live under the bridge. Okay, but I think we should find out from established places, what would you recommend? You know, like go to the City Rescue Mission. What would you recommend? Something like that. And there's a lot of private, well, like somebody mentioned, a nonprofit. And there's a lot of that in Lansing already. So instead of reinventing the wheel, let's ask them, hey, do you have any advice or what works and what doesn't work? And I really believe there will have to be a responsible person also living in those pods. Because otherwise it's gonna be a mess. But I think there needs to be a responsible person also in those pods that would be able to supervise, take care of stuff. Otherwise, you know, who knows what's gonna happen. Thank you.
Dundeen, if not, he's not here. Chiquita Dismute. Oh, okay. Followed by Chiquita Dismute.
Don Dean, I'm the president of the Friends of Bancroft Park and also I serve on the East Side Neighborhood Organization in Lansing. And I'm the aforementioned Don that always shows up and pesters Kirsten and Mark Dombrowski at the park. So I took to heart what Mike and Erica said, and I hear a lot of people saying that we don't need them in parks and all that. The issue that I have is that at one meeting, this is my third meeting, I was told that we need a flat surface for this. So you're going to have to pave or cement one of these parks to be able to put these ModPods in. You're going to have to put the facilities in there and everything like that. However, the other part is, and I'm glad I preceded the gentleman before me. He talked about the fire department and this, that, and the other thing. And I did some searching, and I used AI. I used Copilot in my job, and Copilot said that it's anywhere from 18,000 a year, and that's with minimal calls to the ER or to police or whoever. 18,000 costs us us citizens, or cost the city $18,000 a year at a minimum for one homeless person, up to $80,000 a year for one homeless person to be homeless for a year. Now, I am in group 5 for the trying to find things out, and I don't know where you guys came up with the locations. I think people just took darts and threw them at the map of Lansing and said, these are the places that we should put them. I suggested the MLK parking lot, or not the MLK parking, but the Logan Square parking lot, because you're 2 to 300 feet away from anybody else. You have lights, you have infrastructure there, and it's not a park. You don't have someone kind of go out into the woods at Stavenall Park to meet their drug dealer. And I'm not talking about, I'm not saying that being an addict, but you need to have a control of where they're at. And I'm not trying to be mean or anything like that, but we need to find a solution for this, and the ModPod is a solution, but we need to find more solutions. We need to limit the number of people, and I can't finish in this amount of time. Thanks.
Chiquita will be followed by Ted Wilson.
Hi, I'm Chiquita Dismute. I lived over in the Barnes Road School, what it used to be called, which is Shabazz, since 1987. The school was built in 1919. That area was deemed a historical area. That is one of my reasons for saying, not in my backyard. I say, at the corner of Capitol and Michigan, we can put them right up there on the lawn. Don't get me wrong, I have homeless people that have been in my immediate family. But just like they don't want them on the Capitol, we don't want them in our backyard. Let's find a place for them to go. I'm not demeaning them. I'm not demeaning anyone, because I wouldn't want to be in that situation. But for Lansing to go out and buy a bunch of pods and say we're going to figure out where we're going to scatter these all over the land, why didn't you make a plan as to what we're going to do before you bought the pods? As my grandmother used to say, that's putting the cart before the horse, and you're not going anywhere. It's going to be disastrous. We need to sit down, come up with a plan, find a place that's going to work. Everybody needs to have a place to live. I work in that community. That's what I do. Don't make them prisoners. Don't put them in a place where we gotta put a gate up. You can't come in at a certain time, or you can't come in. That's like a prison without walls. Don't do that. There's a way to do it, the right way to do it, and it's by sitting down with the community. Do this again. Don't make this rush decision by this month. Have us sit down and let's talk about it. Seriously. Let's talk about it. Let's find a place that's going to be right for anyone that's out there on the street, and for those that are in the communities where you want to put them. Let's talk. And not the little closed door thing. Open it up. Give everybody an opportunity to speak their mind. And Joy, I would love to hear from you. I used to go to all of the meetings in Shabazz when it was open, when it was Lansing Christian, and then when it went to Shabazz Academy. I was on the PTA. That place has a lot of things that needs to be done. A lot of things that need to be done. One is the boiler. 2 is the fact that they have bats in the attic, and at night you can see them in the summertime flying. Thank you, my time is up.
Ted Wilson will be followed by Chantel Spears.
Hi folks, Ted Wilson. I'm an East Side resident, homeowner, former business owner here in Lansing for 20 years, worked in politics for many years. I'd like a show of hands from everyone at this board who's an actual elected official Are any of you actual officials that we have voted for? Anyone can put their hand up that's been voted for to have this office or whatever position you have. Has anyone been elected to this? Okay, well that explains a lot, honestly. Another thing, I want to stick up for all of the homeowners here. I'm a progressive that actually co-founded the Bernie Sanders movement here in Lansing, Michigan at the Avenue with Kelly Collison, and I ran the grassroots campaign to beat Hillary Clinton and hopefully, we wanted to put Bernie Sanders into office, but I'm here to say to my fellow progressives, F off, straight up. You have no idea what we do as community members to take care of our fellow members. These are people that are in our community. They're our friends. They're our neighbors. They're our employees. I don't need to go give a man a pizza at the Capitol. My wife and I for years have been putting our friends on our couch here on the east side because they couldn't afford rent. So, F off with that nonsense. All right, here's the problem. Utilizing any of the 4 city parks for the NOVA Homeless Pod initiative is certainly not within the scope of the Lansing Park Village renewal vote that occurred this year on August 5th. We've already voted on this, folks. Look at God. I'm an atheist. You can keep God. I represent and am a homeowner in Lansing's East Side neighborhood near the New Allen Neighborhood Center in Hunter Park. I represent many East Siders who are unhappy and concerned about putting a homeless encampment in our Hunter Park. The East Side homeowners and renters alike are still dealing with the destabilization that halted the East Side progress and growth before COVID when the City Council ramped up the crime in our city by forcing the closure of over 80 dispensaries that were providing jobs, filling vacant buildings, and providing stability to our local economy. The unrest that COVID brought to the East Side since the main corridor at our state capitol protest and the continued drug violence that spun out of control forced a lot of our homeowners in our neighborhood to sell. And we watched our neighborhood go down really badly. We're not happy about it. So now you guys are proposing to put a destabilizing force in our park when our neighborhood is just starting to get back its legs. Absolutely not. Now you propose a solution about Walter French, the old El Shabazz, which a lot of people are not happy about either. I get it. Well, it's clear that you guys have to go back to the drawing board. Straight up. And it's clear that this board is not going to listen to us unless we take action. So what we're going to do is I'm passing these out down the rows for any of you that want to get involved so that we can do a legal challenge to stop this, so that we can have some actual accountability to the taxpayers that voted to keep our parks as parks. We should sign up and do that.
Chantel Spears. Be followed by Sarah Harita.
Oh, hello, I'm Chantel Spears. I'm from Lansing, and I experienced homelessness for 4 years. And my primary point is one that I want to echo. I'm echoing a lot of other people's points. It's actually going to be cheaper to permanently house people than it is to invest in this transitional housing. So what I really wonder, and I would like an answer from the people who were involved in the decision making, is what went through your mind when you were thinking about, okay, let's invest in this transitional housing? What made you decide to do that instead of permanent housing? I don't know, I don't have the answer to that, but the decision makers, I would just like an answer to that. But it's actually cheaper it's probably cheaper to permanently house people. So I'm on Section 8 and I have all of my rent covered, and it costs about $10,000 a year to house me, okay? And that's just one person. So if you think about it, we put $650,000 into those pods, and we'll have to put even more into it to get the site up, and then more maintenance each year. We could permanently house a lot of people and do a lot more better work than what we're doing. The money could be put to better use. And then the other point that I want to make is that I'm really disappointed by a lot of the folks in this room with your NIMBY attitudes. It's the same as the prejudice that we've had against Black people where we wanted to segregate them. It's the same thing. It's the psychological processes underlying that prejudice. It's the same thing. The difference is that it's acceptable and it's normalized to be prejudiced against the homeless population, and it's ubiquitous. Thank you.
Is Sarah here? She'll be followed by Phil D'Amico. Thank you.
So it's undeniable that we're at a breaking point in this housing crisis. Our tenant union rent is too damn high, defines tenants as people who aren't in control of their housing. And those with the least amount of control are our in-house tenants. They lose what little they have every damn day. Belongings, papers, family, pets, routine, dignity, health, and sometimes we lose them forever. We mourn every single life that's been lost to an intentionally manufactured problem, so that developers and landlords can profit. Meanwhile, there are rampant vacant apartments to be filled and rundown houses that we can repair. Especially while this current administration wants to kidnap and lock away homeless people behind bars, if not worse. Criminalizing and sweeping camps and disappearing people instead of housing them kills our souls. Not everyone here in this room, regardless of which side of the table you're on, has experienced that level of insecurity. I have, and many of our members have. Many still do. And that lack of control is seen in this process, from barriers to who could stay in the pods, to where they would be placed, and especially in parks that are clearly creating animosity in a community that I want to believe would otherwise choose love and support and change. The number one way that we solve homelessness is to give people homes. That's really the root of this issue. Pods aren't homes, and that solution is called Housing First, and the countries that have been willing to try that solution have succeeded in giving people long-term stability and solving every other problem that people in our community and across the country choose to villainize people for dealing with. It starts with housing first. And we know that shelters aren't enough. They don't respect the human need for autonomy and privacy, and one of our shelters is going to be closing next year. We have tenants here tonight and others who couldn't make it, who've gained stability, community, and health from subsidized housing, and I see it changing their lives, and it costs less than that. That said, I do want to commend this advisory board for stepping up to the huge task of trying solutions. I and many others don't think this is the right solution, but in this economic and political moment, we need to try. It's not perfect, and it already is planning to leave people behind, while enabling, well, I'm gonna skip, but the thing that I think of most is our people and our friends at Dietrich Camp who are cold right now that could be in those pods right now. I know people don't want to see this happening in parks, but more than anything, we know that there's empty parking lots where we're even planning on possibly putting a data center that's gonna create slop and waste our water and raise our utilities. And those parking lots could be filled with those pods if this board and the city is not willing to sell them and invest that money into long-term housing. And last and possibly most important, aside from housing first, is I really compel everyone here to choose love and courage to create the political will to make these changes and to see our unhoused neighbors as human fucking beings.
Phil Dominic will be followed by Sean Brock.
I think somebody on this board probably has a good heart when they were doing this, but there's a saying, let me just see if I can find it, 'cause I can take some notes here. I think Philip Stanhope said, whoever's in a hurry is showing that the task is too big for them. You guys gotta go back to the drawing board, because honestly, if you couldn't have, I could probably, in my dreams, I don't know if I could create such a clusterfuck, but you guys have seriously gotta go back to the drawing board. I think you have good intentions of getting people off the street, and that's cool. It's, okay. I'm just gonna keep it real. You know, we can do this, honestly, and if you got people looking at you, and we're the capital city, I think you need to do it right. That's number one. So you guys definitely have fault on your side with that. Also, I'm kind of curious too, because when you look up the Open Meeting Act, and I think it's a law, it doesn't seem like you guys include the public, and I'm pretty sure you're supposed to. So it seems like you guys kind of violated the act of law there. I'm not sure who did that, but some of you really fucked that up. So you broke the law there. As far as taxes, you know what? If you've ever had to live out of your car and use a bathroom in the QD and use their shit to charge your phone and find out where your next meal is, then shut the hell up. What's really interesting, and that gentleman back there who limped up here, you do matter.
What about me? I'm homeless right now.
I'm talking about you. I'm talking about the homeless that do matter.
Okay.
That's why you do.
Sir, you're to address this board.
But what's interesting is like people are talking about like where's the money gonna come from? There's about 115,000 people in Lansing. If you just all didn't buy like Big B's or Starbucks for a day, I mean there's your $500,000 to fix up Shabazz. So I mean I think we could do it. But the thing is, what's interesting in Lansing is you guys don't really think about the future. It seems like parks, okay, whatever. I mean, where are you gonna put the plumbing? Where are you gonna put the electricity? Shabazz might need some stuff done with it, but I mean, you kind of have a foundation there. But the truth is, these same people that don't want it in the backyards are the same people that on Sunday will be at church praying to a God that they say they worship. Even though the Bible has 2,000 verses in it about helping the needy, the poor, and the homeless. So, hypocrites abound everywhere. But this is a problem that can be solved, but you all have to seriously go back to the drawing board because what you're doing right now, it's just not working. You're forcing it. It's just not working. And you might want to think about breaking the open meeting law and acts next time. Make sure the public's involved in every step of this. Thank you.
Sean Brock will be followed by Lachelle Gaines.
Hi there, my name is Sean Brock. I have lived in this city for my entire life. I have slept under the Kalamazoo Street Bridge. I have wondered where my next meal is going to come from. I have done all this. I just recently got housed. Now, I have never spent more than a couple days outside, but I have done it. And this is something that should not happen to anyone. I think this is a good gesture, but this is a Band-Aid on a shotgun wound. We need to get to the bottom of the problem, not just, oh, well, we did this so we can look good. We need to get to the bottom of it. Like has been mentioned, Housing First has been shown to work. It's something that, people that have some kind of conscience and aren't worried about everything being for profit, they've seen that it works. They've done it. They get people taken care of. They get their health care. They get their mental health care, which I think really is one thing. But we need to get to the bottom of the problem, not keep throwing Band-Aids at a problem that, why not go with the fire extinguisher and try to put out a forest fire? It's the same thing. Let's try to get something done. Let's try to be leaders. Let's get people housed. Thank you very much.
Rent control.
Lachelle Gaines will be followed by Val McGee.
Hello, everyone. First and foremost, I want to say that I would have loved to have been heard prior to a purchase being made. However, since we did not get that opportunity, I guess this is the next best time. I was really excited to move into the community surrounding Hunter Park, and I would still like to enjoy that space in the way that I've maintained. Upon moving in, I noticed that it was a vibrant community. Part of the reason I chose it was between the Allen Food Co-op, the Wednesday meetups, and the overall vibrancy of the community. For context, I come from Wayne County, where neighbors help neighbors. So imagine my surprise when I found out that there was a park location when I have seen so many other options to house our unhoused family, because that's what we are in the city. Once you become a resident, you become a relative. I say that in the same city that has over 600 red tag properties with an average of 3 years on the red tag list. We've already heard that permanent housing is a more suitable position for those that are unhoused. So if we start focusing on the resources that we have available, the several resources, the 624 resources, according to the city, that we have available, then maybe we can do something a bit more permanent. We've heard that it's already cheaper to house them in other apartments and other spaces. My other question is why, and maybe I'm unfamiliar, maybe I am ignorant to what you all have done. However, I'm concerned about the lack of collaboration with those who are already helping our unhoused people. Where are we pulling in those who have done established work? Why have we not decided to do a joint mission? I didn't realize that Lansing had to have its name on it when there are so many other people already doing the work and doing it well. A rush decision is a catalyst for failure. I implore there to be a change in the timing. 3 weeks is not enough, especially when there has been a lack of public comment. I am embarrassed to say that I am in a space where I have had to sprint to a meeting to make sure that I could speak and sit here past the time because this is the one time all these lovely folks have had a chance to speak their mind. There should be a pause on this. However, I do think there should be a solution. Don't get me. I think that there should be a solution. No, I don't think my part, but that's because I think that they deserve something that is better. They deserve to be treated with a space that can belong to them and not somewhere where we're taking away in order to provide. It doesn't make sense for a city this large to not be able to provide for all of the people that it is supposed to support. Lansing is not looked at as the best city in Michigan, and that is embarrassing. This decision is adding to that reason for Lansing not being the best. I recommend that this board, and not just you guys, but our elected officials as well, to make better decisions to ensure that the needs of the community are being served for everyone and with community input. Thank you.
Val McGee. Followed by Alexander W.
Hi, everybody. I am a Lansing resident. I am a business owner. I am a commercial property owner, and on top of all that, a mental health advocate. With all of those things, I should not find out from the Lansing State Journal that this shit is happening. That's insane. I go to weekly meetings with the city, and they found out from me reading the Lansing State Journal. So I'm not saying that this is a shitty idea. That's just going to go. That's not going to work. I'm saying that residents are a lot more receptive to solutions, right, that are planned, they're centralized, and we need a proactive, strategic, and compassionate approach to this. This just seems like a lot of people say it's rushed. I agree. Like I said, I shouldn't hear about it when the decision is already made to purchase the pods, and then the decision is already made that these pods are going to be placed somewhere. It is up to you guys, but it's the people behind me that matter, and it should have been a little more, actually it should have been a lot more publicly advertised that this was going on from the beginning of the purchase. So I would just say going forward for any other projects that you have, keep the public in mind. Even if you have to go on your own Facebook and be like, hey, this city council meeting is here for something that could cause either detriment or cause positive for the city. But either way, there is not enough public advocacy to be able to be, for you guys to be able to say yes to this and have it be going forward. That's all.
Thank you. Alexander W. Or if they're not here, Kathy Taskey.
Thank you. Good to see everyone here. Love Lansing. I'll just read this real quick and continue on. Then they reply, Lord, when did we ever see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or naked or sick in prison and not help you? And he will answer, I will tell you the truth. When you refuse to help the least of these, my brothers and sisters, you are refusing to help me. A lot of y'all mentioned Bible, so I had to bring in the word. That's Matthew, I think, 26, I'm sorry. Anyways, I love to see everyone here. It's amazing. I love it. Someone had mentioned about your enthusiasm about parks, and I can tell you for sure, the parks are already being used for all the things that you think it could be used for and not being used for when you're not there, because that's the perfect spot to be there because it's public. I have free access to go there. I should be there. I'm part of the public. And if an officer is getting mad at me because I'm having no spot to sleep on instead of a corridor, of a door, of a home, or somewhere, but I have someplace else to be, I have to be the public. It has to be in the park. So the parks are already the perfect spot. Unfortunately, none of us actually use the parks the most that we'd like to, the most that we think we utilize them. I can guarantee you, because I've walked and skateboarded throughout all the parks in downtown and Southtown and Holton, everywhere, and I don't see as many uses there. The trails are nice. I'm glad our tax dollars is going for trails. Adding the next point, the communication, I understand where the public is coming from, but as people have mentioned, they've heard it from either Facebook or the news. That's what they're used for. They're meant to be social media areas for you to get the information. Just because you got the information late doesn't mean the conversation didn't start earlier. Just because you got here late doesn't mean the conversation didn't start earlier. That's okay. Come again, voice your opinions, but it doesn't mean the work wasn't already put in place. We vote for people who then get these people in these offices on our behalf. They're creating these problems, these solutions to the problems that we seek and that we see in our backyards. For us to say, not in my backyard, okay, well then where? I think the perfect spot is the Malcolm X building, or Shabazz building. Because why not utilize an old building that hasn't been used in the past decade? And it hasn't been used in the past decade because when you go on Google Maps and look at 2016, it was still being used. There's parking cars in there. So I'm just saying, why not utilize it? Neogen utilizes several different buildings currently right now for their business, and it employs hundreds and thousands of people. So why not we just do the same thing for the least of us, our brothers and our sisters, that when we drive here, we see them and we do nothing. How many times when you give someone $1 or $5 or whatever, do they ask you, where did you get that? They don't, because they don't care where it comes from. They need the help yesterday. And I'm tired of seeing these problems exist past 30 years when it shouldn't. This is 2025. Are we not?
Kathy Taskey must not be here. What about Jeff Finley and Michael Dabowski? Okay. All right. Well, that's the conclusion of it. Oh, that's okay, Mike. Sorry.
All I want to say to this board is parks is not the place. Stabenow Park is a wetland. I don't know how many of you know that. Yes, the pods need to go someplace, but I think you guys need to find a better solution. The city has a history of putting cart before the horse, and you're throwing Band-Aids at it now. I went online to see why Kalamazoo wouldn't or couldn't make their pods work, and it's interesting. So, and I advise everybody to do the same thing and draw your own judgment from that. There are reasons Kalamazoo couldn't do it, and most of it was the cost prohibitive. The cost, the upkeep, the land. They did decide that when they were trying to do it, that a commercial vacant property would be better than a park. And the reasons are on there. So I just urge this board to slow down and think about what they're doing. Thank you.
I believe that's the end of our public comments. For those of you, this is attached to the paper that you have. It has the 5 locations, and then at the bottom it says none of these. Please write your suggestion below. So utilize this. The board can use that information, and also back on those pieces of paper as you exit. But please fill this out. So make your opinion known.
There is a deposit box for those small slips for you to weigh in and indicate what you think or where you think the pods might go. So use those slips, make your choices on them and deposit them in the white box in the back of the room by the back door.
At this time, I will receive a motion for adjournment. Hold on, this is not the meeting. Can I get a second? It's been moved and second. All those in favor? Those that oppose? This meeting is adjourned.